Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Better, a show about two longtime friends trying their best, growing up, and hopefully getting better. I'm Zach Johnson.
And I'm Sam Cherry.
Hello. How are you, Sam?
Zach, I'm good. A quick, I wouldn't call it an apology, but update to the listeners. If they're wondering why it took 4 days for the episode to come out, 4 extra days, is because I didn't know it didn't come out. I set it to release on the 25th. And then didn't notice that it hadn't released until the 29th.
Yeah, well, we can just say it had to do something to do with Thanksgiving. We'll just say that.
Yeah, it didn't at all. I have no idea what happened. Again, just an update if you're wondering why the episode was so late. It wasn't supposed to be. I thought it came out, and I didn't immediately listen to it, which I often do. So you're gonna get 2 episodes this week. So Mazel Tov, enjoy that.
And Mazel Tov, exciting.
I also saw the new Taylor Swift documentary about folklore.
Oh, I did not.
It came out like yesterday.
Okay.
It was very good and very cool. They basically go track by track and then do like a little 2 minutes where Aaron Dezel, it's not hard to say it. No, I just don't remember his name. That Aaron from The National and oh my gosh, he's the guy. He's Jack Bleachers. What's his last name?
Antonov.
I was thinking Aronofsky, like the director. Phew, I'm out of it.
Maybe that is him. Maybe it's the same family. I don't know.
I don't think it is. Anyway, the three of them.
All I'm to say, if you're so very attached to like music and the way it's moving, I'm just saying there is a non-zero percentage that you might be a vampire, and you may just change his name. Just like take Aronofsky and then make it Antonov.
Okay, there's a if you're attached to mute. Are you saying there's a non-zero chance that all musicians are vampires?
I'm saying there is a non-0% chance that all musicians are vampires, yes.
Okay.
Because there's like statement. A lot of people are just like, whoa, how is so much talent wrapped up in this like 20-something-year-old? It's like,
because they're 1,000 years old.
Because I'm 1,000 years old and I learned from the greats.
Got it. Now they do get older.
That's probably like, some type of, how like vampires are like Superman, they have like, back when vampires were first coming out, when vampires were first, cooking, the reporting was finally being done on them. They have like infinity powers.
Yeah.
And I think one of those powers is like hypnotism, but hypnotism to where like you can shapeshift. So maybe they're just shape-shifting themselves older. Like if I was a vampire and I didn't want to get caught, I feel like hallucinating people into making them think that I'm older is like, that's number one.
Oh, and then you change into just a different person.
And
the whole time you're really 20.
And then you could just do that. Then you could, who's to say that there's not multiple, musicians, celebrities, and what have you that have just never been seen together, that it's the same person. It's the same vampire.
Maybe Darren Aronofsky and Jack Antonoff are the same guy.
That's what I'm saying. And like, at this point in time, Jack Antonoff and Aronofsky, they're just getting kind of lazy,
Sure.
It's kind of like, it's like, if they haven't caught me yet, they're not going to catch me. So
sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, the only real revelation from that, it's very good and you should watch it, is, do you remember when I did that whole thing about Betty and I said it seems pretty obvious that she's trying to imply that all 3 characters are a girl?
I remember that.
Or are women. Not a girl. That would be
a vampire level twist right there.
If all 3 of them are the same
vampire.
No, they're not. Apparently, she said explicitly that James is the song Betty from James's perspective is from a boy's perspective. So go figure. I was wrong about that. Still a good documentary, and you should watch it. It's not really. I don't know if it's a documentary. It's sort of just like a listening session. But it's good.
I was wondering, because as you were saying, it was going through song, it just sounded like a listening party where it's like you're getting together and like, this is
they do an acoustic. They not an acoustic set, but they do. I guess it's acoustic. They like perform it in a studio. The 3 of them, each song, and then they have just a little aside where they talk about like, hey, here's kind of what I was thinking about the song, and they talk about the process of writing it. But it's only like 2 minutes. I honestly, I was kind thinking, man.
Very inside the actor's studio, just like
very inside the vampire actor's studio.
Inside the vampire studio.
Interview with the vampires.
Yes, where Taylor Swift is also Francis Ford Coppola.
And Brad Pitt? Is that who that's? The movie Interview with the Vampire?
I haven't seen it, but I think he's a vampire in a movie. I don't know if he is actually a vampire. I know that Tom Cruise is a vampire, but I don't know if Brad Pitt's a vampire.
Yes, he is a vampire in the movie Interview with the Vampire. Are you saying Francis Ford Coppola is no?
I'm saying that Francis Ford Coppola is Taylor Swift, a la the vampire rule that we've just established.
Okay, so Francis Ford Coppola is hypnotizing us into thinking that he, a vampire, is a girl in her 20s. Although maybe he's always been a girl in her 20s and has been hypnotizing us into believing that he was an old man, Francis Ford Coppola.
Yes, a perpetually old man, even in the 1970s, a perpetually old Italian man.
He's dead. Oh, yeah, because he made Eyes Wide Shut.
No, he's not.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know. But Francis Ford Coppola, it now owns a winery, and he sells packages. I think that was Francis Ford Coppola, possibly.
The guy that made Eyes Wide Shut got killed. Stanley Kubrick.
He got killed? I didn't know that.
Well, he made Eyes Wide Shut, and then he died shortly after.
Oh, because
and the whole movie is about how
the Clinton vampires.
Maybe there's a secret cabal of murdering sex perverts.
Maybe
just hypothetically, guys, I'm gonna make this movie about how actually all the rich and famous people are secret sex perverts, and then he made that movie, and then suddenly died afterwards. So, I'm just saying those two things happened. But that was Kubrick. Well,
Coppola. To pivot off of that, on the show, have you talked about Superman's powers before? Because if I remember correctly, he had a million. I don't think so.
He had a lot of goofy ones, like one where he could make a smaller version of himself. The Silver Age had some goofy powers.
This is the content that I want to see in the new Justice League Snyder Cut. This is the stuff.
God, I would love some goofy silver. Let me look at this. Nope, not going to be funny. I'm not going to Google that. Anyway, you guys look it up. But in the Silver Age of comics, Superman had a bunch. It was every week they gave him a new goofy power just to fit. It was like Inspector Gadget. He just had a new gadget. They're like, fucking whatever. What are we doing?
Yeah, whatever. Really it's not like people are going to take this way too seriously 50, 60 years from now.
People are going to really invest their entire identity in this made up man in his underwear. Oops, they did. Anyway, yeah, he could turn himself into a smaller version of himself. Also, the first at one point, Thanos drove a helicopter and then got arrested by the police, which is really funny.
That is, the one thing that I want to see, I just want to see him go for it and do the the guy. His name's I'm looking it up right now and I can't even begin to pronounce this. It's Mr. Mxplicit.
Yeah. If you say his name backward, if you make him say his name backwards, he's banished or whatever.
Yeah. And his whole thing is he is a big, huge fan of just goofing around. And then there's have to come up with increasingly sillier and sillier ways to get him to say his name backwards. That's the kind of stuff that I need that level of Joel Schumacher of his silliness in the Superman comics, just to really get people off their high horse of Superman being able to make a smaller version of himself.
Super ventriloquism is one. He had the shape-shifting
power. That
one's
actually not. That one's not a power as much as he just really, really practiced.
Sure. Super eating is a power he had. Telekinetic vision. Okay. Super imagination. I'm not going to read the article for what that means. Don't really care.
That one's just he's just he has the soul of an artist. Superman would write really intense poetry in his spare time, and it was it was very good.
It was super. Mind control. Super landscaping. Not sure what that means. Super cloning himself. All right.
I like the implication of super cloning himself. Not just cloning himself, but cloning himself.
I think they're trying to be cute in this article. Super hypnotism. Super dancing. Now, again, I wonder if some of this is actually super or if this is just he did a funny thing.
Possibly he's just very good at all of these things. He's just worked hard. Because do you think this is
I'm reading about this and it looks like he just was which is silly, but he finds himself in a dance competition and he's really good. But although it does say that thanks to his super dancing ability, but I would really need to see in the comic them say the phrase super dancing.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if Superman sleeps. Because he gets his power from the red sun, so that's possibly where he's getting all the time to work on these things. so many sleepless nights, eventually you're going to pick up ventriloquism. That's just the way it is. You're going to find a time to pick it up.
Yeah. Super weaving.
Okay. That's definitely a no sleep thing. That super weaving travel. Is a no sleep power.
He was probably quarantined before all of us. And, super kissing. All right, no wait, this sounds like Frank Duck's thing. I don't know if that one's real. Force beams. Shield toss. Now I have seen shield toss. I know that one is real.
That is Captain America.
In the movie Superman 2. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, the thing where
he pulls off his logo and it wraps around a guy.
Yeah, and then they're just like, all right, moving on.
Yeah, that one's goofy. Telekinesis, I think they already did that one. And super radio broadcasting.
Ooh.
This is the one. This is the number one weirdest power that Superman lost, which is shooting Superman from his hands, where he can shoot out a tiny little version of himself out of his hands.
Yeah, that is absolutely wild.
Fucking weird. Comics are silly. And that's okay.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's exactly right. That I think that once you have a character named like Mr. Freeze and Polka Dot Man, I really feel like you've kind of lost credibility in the 4chan-iverse to make it into a very gritty thing.
Yeah, it's fine. There's just like things can just be fun.
We haven't spoken one spell about the new Snyder Cut Justice League thing. The new 4-hour, possibly 5-hour epic that is hitting streaming platforms in the new world.
Has it come out yet?
No, it hasn't come out yet, but they're working on it.
Follow it.
Oh well,
yeah, okay. I've seen some scuttlebutt about the fact that it's happening, but like, who cares? It's a bad movie. I mean, we're gonna watch it. A lot of people do. I know, but I kind of thought it seemed to me like the release of Snyder Cut thing was kind of a meme at this point. Like,
well, well, here's the thing. I thought that too. It was a meme until guess what? Movie. There is one, and they're going to use all of the footage from his unreleased movie, and it's going to be like 4 hours long or so, and it's going to be all the content that he meant to put in. They're apparently not doing, or they're doing very little like reshoots. And it's going to be just stuff that he already had that, got cut out because
they all have mustaches.
Because they all got cut out because of studio interference, stuff like that. Well, actually, no, they're not going to be using any of the Joss Whedon stuff. And the Joss Whedon stuff is when he had a mustache. So
I was just making a gag.
I think that is like, it's the wildest thing that how did they let someone film all this content? Like, how?
Well, and the fact that they cut it all is pretty wild.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's fine. Like, so many people show up to set that day. That's fine. We're not going to use that.
It's what's wild to me, too, is that everyone thinks that the Snyder Cut is going to be good. And it's like, hey, guys, he made 2 Superman movies before this, and they were both not good. So like, why do you think that this Justice League is like secretly good?
Because this one, they don't have, his vision is being realized. This is one where it was realized in
Batman vs Superman, and it wasn't good.
You don't get it. You don't get that like that producers, they just get in there with their grimy little hands, their money, their hands that are actually pennies and other coins, and they mess up the art. And this one's not about the art. It is coming exclusively onto HBO Max, and they did spend several $1 million on it. But this one's not about this one's about art.
I've made it very clear.
There was no producers at the Sistine Chapel. There was no producers.
Yes, there were.
There wasn't.
There was a lot of oversight and shit.
No. There
was
no
the Pope.
No, the Pope. He's
Pope Sistine.
I don't think so. I think you're making that up.
I think so.
I think that Sistine is like more of like, I think that's just something.
16, which is what you are thinking of. You're thinking of the number 16, and it's not.
Yeah, the 16 Chapel. Anyway, there was no oversight there. Because that's real art. And so
the Pope about the Sistine Chapel, what he said was he had done a bunch of other stuff, and this is to his point, is he saw the painting on the top of or on the roof ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, and was sad because he knew it would be the only thing he'd ever be remembered for.
Wow.
And that's true, because I have no idea what Pope Sistine did otherwise.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't even know that was a person until you said that. I thought that it was just like the name of the area.
And it was so beautiful that he understood that hundreds of years ago. He understood when it was being painted that was the case. And he was right. Turns out the Pope is infallible. Go figure.
Yeah, but I mean, like, unless you, I mean, yeah, but unless you're like, unless you're making waves in the Pope world, like, there's lots of popes, and eventually, you're not.
Sometimes
like,
there were 2 popes.
Right
now there are 2 popes. Well,
there was that one time there were 3 popes. That was a rip roaring good time.
The Pope at Avignon.
Exactly. I don't know what that even
there
is.
There were 3 popes.
Yeah, there's the Great Schism where there was 3 popes all claiming to be the Pope.
It was we may be talking about the same thing. The Pope at Avignon is a place, and at one point there was a different Pope, and he was the Pope at Avignon. That might be the same thing. I thought there were only 2 at once, but maybe it was 3. Like
exactly.
I said, I'm not Catholic. I actually don't know Catholic.
Yeah, they didn't even have like a battle. They didn't have like a Pope off where, that would have been the way to decide the true Pope.
I think it was based on like who got to decide who the emperor was, and then the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire was just like, now this guy's Pope because he says that I'm emperor. I think. I don't know shit.
I vaguely remember these things from my AP European history class. So I can't tell you a lot about it. There's probably some of our viewers or listeners rather, just screaming into the abyss about how we just cannot for the life of us.
I know there was a Pope at Avignon, and I believe the other Pope was in Rome, probably.
And I think there was a 3rd Pope.
I don't know.
I think, well, by the time there's a 3rd Pope, that one's just, doing it for the clout. That one's just out there.
There are technically, I mean, are there 2 popes now? Because they're both alive.
Well, I mean, that Pope retired. That Pope gave away his Pope powers. That's kind of how,
weird, huh?
I'm assuming there is some way to divvy that out.
Sorry, my Roomba is upset. Give me 1 second. Sorry, there's a great schism in my house because my Roomba wanted to start.
You have a Roomba? Big
now
money.
We have it's a D-Bot. It's an off-brand Roomba, but it's just easier to say Roomba. Actually, we call it Mark, so I just say Mark. But Mark was upset.
Mark was upset because he, in fact, knows about the Great Schism and was just trying to come out of his own robot body shape and tell us what was happening, and you just sent him out of the room.
I am looking at the Great Schism, and it looks like there are 2 sides, Eastern and Western Christianity. I think this is the Pope at Avignon.
I think it is. I think you're right.
The Pope.
Welcome to Get Better History Lessons. This is, and it's also Sam giving me history lessons, which is the inverse.
That's true because you have a history degree.
Exactly, and they gave me all history when they touched my forehead with their glowing history powers and endowed me with all history.
That would be cool. I wish I had studied more history. I mean, I studied a lot of Jewish history, but
no, I think that studying history is something that's going to come for us later. I wonder what our World War II is going to be. In the future, like old guys, they know everything about World War II. They're just cramming for this imaginary World War II test. What is ours going to be? What's our World War II?
The current time.
I think so. But anyway, but that was, yeah. And yeah, that's a good one. And we're gonna put into our children a love of, studying this time so that way they will find, someone years and years and years from now, long after we're dead, they will get to the bottom of it. They'll get to the bottom of why it all happened.
These are completely different events. 1054 is when the Great Schism started. The Avignon Papacy started in 1309. So these are completely different events. Maybe there was more than one.
Or maybe just one very long event.
No, I'm looking at it. I don't think it is. I mean, perhaps, but I don't think it is. Anyway, there was another thing I wanted to update you about, but I don't remember what it was.
Must have been a lie.
My mom used to say that and I don't think that makes any sense. If it was a lie, I would memorize it.
If it was a lie, you'd memorize it? I don't...
Yeah, if I was trying to lie to you, I would remember what the lie is. Whereas if something just happened and I didn't remember it, it's because I didn't think it was important.
I think that...
if it was where were you what'd you do, Tuesday night? Well, if it wasn't important to me, I'd probably forget, right? But it can still be true. But if I was trying to lie to you to hide what I was doing on Tuesday night, I would remember what the lie is. My mom would say that to me, and I'd just say oh my God. Now, I wouldn't be a pedant about it because there's no way that anyone would care. But I'll be a pedant on this show because that's what my role is, I guess.
No, I think it's really interesting that your explanation for that went right to a crime, right to some sort of if I'm going to commit.
What else do you lie about? Things you do wrong.
I guess you're right, or maybe or maybe
if I'm Dan Blazarian, I'm lying about whatever Dan Blazarian's lying about. All our liar guys they're lying and they remember their lie so that they don't get caught up and get caught in their lie.
All right.
Things that you lie about.
All right. Yeah. I guess you're right.
Sorry. Also, I really want to talk about Project Veritas, and I'm like working on the research for that, but that'll be in an upcoming episode.
Okay,
I thought those are King Liar boys.
For a moment, I thought you said Operation Bear Toss, not Operation Veritas, and then I was like, oh, we're really gonna have to talk about Yogi Bear 2. That's really what's gonna happen right now.
Holy shit, Yogi Bear and Clifford the dog. Oh, an update.
Oh my gosh,
that I got wrong.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I don't know why we didn't open the show with this.
Something I got wrong in like 10 episodes ago. Is I alluded to Operation Snow White, and I said that it was the Mormons. It was actually the Scientologist. No one recognized that I said that or cared. But for posterity, it's the Scientologists that did Operation Snow White, not the Mormons.
No, these episodes are coming out back to back, which I think is perfect because I
said this like weeks ago.
No. I'm saying the thing that I'm saying the thing we should have opened the show with.
Clifford.
Which was we were Sam and I were talking about Tom and Jerry, and then go ahead and listen to that episode. We have a lot of opinions on Tom and Jerry. It
just came out?
Yeah. And the trailer was out. Yes, and the episode of us just came out. And then as if the universe itself didn't hear the episode, my little Amazon over there, it heard us talking about it because we don't have the episode coming out. The universe itself heard us. And then we got a trailer for a teaser for Clifford the Big Red Dog. And it is a Big Red Clifford that is taking place in the real world, which is
bizarre.
Just like, why?
It's just it's like a hue shifted dog. Like it's just a dog.
Yeah. And they just they got it in they got it in Photoshop and just just went red.
Yeah, because it's not, and I'm not advocating this, but it's obviously not like a dog painted red. It's not even that bright or saturated of a red. It's just kind of like if you had a blonde dog and you hue shifted it to red, and that's the dog.
Yeah.
It's weird. But he's a CGI dog. He's obviously fully CGI.
He's a CGI dog, and I imagine that this movie is going to be some great stuff where there's some mischief, where the dog does really dog things, but it's like big dog things. He gets like a really big bone, or, there is going to be one section where the dog pees on the house because there's a fire. That is 187% happening. There's no way around it.
Or a building that looks like a fire hydrant. He's gonna chase. It's chasing the mail truck.
Some art exhibit or something that looks like a fire hydrant. Yes, chasing the mail truck, and then instead of like actually getting the entire mail truck in his mouth, shaking it around.
Yeah,
and then it's gonna be
maybe the bad guy is a mailman.
Kevin Hart, and he's in the mail truck being like, what? Something like that.
Yeah. Totally.
They actually, we are working on this script right now. They'll be listening into this being like, that's good. That's good shit. That's good content.
Writing this down. Good. We got nothing. We just got we took a picture of a dog and we hue shifted it. That's all we have.
Hue shifted it red, and then we just took the little scroller on the side and then made him really big and then put him next to a bunch of other tinier dogs.
Or regular sized dogs, but they look tiny.
Yeah, but it's it happens again, We really thought we were, I guess they must have known that they were working on a Tom and Jerry, and they went, what property do we own? And it just happened to be
Why not just make it a cartoon?
Yeah.
Just make it a cartoon. It'd be so much easier.
Just make it a cartoon.
I don't know. I don't know if it would actually be easier. I've never worked on a feature film.
That's true.
But it just seems like it would be better. It would be more enjoyable. As just make it in a cartoon world with a cartoon dog. But they're like, no, we're going to make it in the real world with a realistic ass dog.
Yeah, and there's only, I think as we did right there, just kind of jokingly, there's only so much you can do with the big red dog. What is happening? Like scientists,
in the constraints of the real world, yeah.
Yeah, but scientists are trying to get to him or something, and he's like a big red dog. I
hope it's Iron Giant where he finds out halfway through that actually his chest opens up and it's a big gun. I hope it's my mother, the car, the dog, the gun. That's what I hope. My dog, the car, the gun. That's what I want.
My dog, the car, the gun. Yes.
My Clifford, the dog, the gun.
My Clifford, the big red, my big red dog, the gun.
Clifford, my big red dog, the gun. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I hope. That's the best version of this movie. Halfway through, he gets real spooked and he shoots somebody with a big gun in his chest.
Yeah, that would, and then the movie, that would be incredible.
And then whatever, who cares? From there, you've got all the legs in the world. You can do whatever you want with
once you and have that happen the first 30 minutes, and that is just where it goes.
What if dog was gun?
Yeah. No one's asking
what
that.
If car was gun worked out great? What if dog was gun? What if mom was car was gun? All great.
But yeah,
do you want to do a script doctor?
No, I want to talk about Clifford the Big Red Dog for more. I think okay. I don't think we've gotten this effectively down. It's going to be an Oscar-winning movie. Okay, now I'm done.
All right.
Is anyone a doctor?
Now, Zach, I sent you this in advance, and actually advance this time, because there's not a lot on this show, and so I wanted to give you a little time to batty it around, to sort of think of some premises before I send it to you, because there's not a lot in terms of the actual show. Although I will tell you that 3 episodes are on YouTube, so I've watched the first episode of our show today, and so NBC called me and they said, we need you to fix another of our 1984 properties, tragically cut short in their prime. Which is weird that now they're saying that to me, which is like kind of. It's like, well, you tragically cut it short, but maybe they're having some self-reflection. Maybe they really like.
And also,
segment.
Probably wasn't them. It's like we're trying to pay. We're trying to pay for the mistakes of our fathers, our network fathers.
They wouldn't be calling me if their network fathers hadn't made a mistake. So anyway, they sent me the 1984 program, Legmen. Now, before you ask, is it about people with extra legs? No, it's referring to people who help out private eyes and do their legwork. And it is a pair of handsome boys in the 80s who drive fast cars and help private eyes doing like repo stuff. They're like bounty hunters, but they're not like weird psychos.
Yes. And this is really exciting for me because obviously we're not going to be talking about our getting in our bag with our upcoming thing. But if we
I would like to dip in that for a minute because I got a lot of ideas for that.
Okay, yeah. But if we were doing like an Ocean's 11 type thing, we just found the two. We just found our Casey Affleck and our Scott Conn. We just found our 2 drivers.
See what I was thinking.
And then we already have the van from the master. So it's like, it's all right, it's right there.
Now see what I'm thinking is actually these 2 legmen. Let's level them up. All right, this is for the Secret comic book, not for the show. Although this might also work for the show. Make them detectives, right? Make it a full-on cop show, or they become detectives or something. I don't know. But anyway, I want them initially on the trail of our League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and then they eventually come around and join the gang. That's what I'm thinking. For the Legmen. Initially they're doing the work of the bad guys, and they're like season 1 villains, right? Where they're trying to, or whatever, however comic books work. I obviously don't know. But, they're trying to like thwart and find the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And then eventually, I don't know, Zibba Zabba, they decide that actually they're on their side. And then they become a part of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen using their private eye skills. Mm-hmm. Or they're just private eyes. They don't need to be detectives. They're private eyes.
I mean, I do like the idea of that we do have the precedent of moving them from being kind of like hired stooges for the bad guy and then just making them over to our side, a la, the Fast and Furious movies where all of the bad guys become good guys.
Yeah, because they want to keep them in the movies. And so they're like, why don't you just become part of the family? Yes. So for a hypothetical secret comic book, I think the Legmen are your season 1 villains, and they're your guys that you're really worried. Maybe season 2.
Maybe not villains as much as it is like
adversaries.
What's the name? What are the names of those creatures? Bebop and Rocksteady.
The Foot Clan. Oh,
well, actually, funny thing, same property.
Yeah, I know. How do we do that? No.
Yeah, they're the Bebop and Rocksteady of this crew.
Yeah, but like smart, like they're actually causing problems. They're like actually like they're smart and intelligent. But then why are they with the bad guys? They got to have some ideological reason that they're with the bad guys.
Money.
But then they realize that they need to turn. I don't know. I don't know if that's interesting. Anyway, we can talk about that later. But I think the Legmen as private eyes are fully on. Maybe, how about this? So in the actual show, they're working for a guy named Oscar who's a private eye. But in later episodes, they start working for a guy named Tom Bannon. Mm-hmm. So maybe Oscar gets murdered, right? And they think it's the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And so then they start working for Tom Bannon or whoever. So whoever's big boss, whoever's our season 1 villain, right? Mm. Or maybe it's our overarching villain. I don't know. But we have our villain. And so the Legmen start working for Tom Bannon to, avenge. They're the Avengers. Let's call them the Avengers. That's not taken, right? So the Avengers are then like, we need to avenge Oscar. And so we need to get rid of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But then, I don't know, you get to episode 9. I'm saying it as a television show because it's the only thing I understand, but whatever the equivalent in comics is. And then they have a big confrontation, and it's like, wait a minute, you didn't kill Oscar. It's like, no, Tom Bannon killed Oscar so that he could take his place. I don't know why they're like a crime boss. This somehow works into the world of the Master, where there's this crime syndicate network.
Yeah.
This all, of course, works into the. I mean, this is like.
They were obviously working towards something when they did this. There is no chance.
The Master is like the overarching property that gives you it gives you a lot of the structure of the world, whereas the other stories are fighting various enemies. But the Master is where you really get into the weeds of the crime network. We need an anti-villain, or we need an anti-hero at some point. In these guys, we need someone to break bad. I don't know who yet, but maybe it's one of the Legmen. Maybe one of the Legmen decides.
We don't know.
He's gonna stay with Tom Bannon.
We don't know much about them at all yet.
Well, we're still not even working on the show yet. But
exactly.
Here's what I'm saying.
And the one thing when you said you sent me those things, I meant to tell you about this.
Didn't read it.
The YouTube wouldn't let me watch it because it was said that it was taken down by the owner. Maybe I should have used a VPN.
Oh shit! I watched it.
That's what maybe I didn't get it in time because they saw you watching it and they were going, shit, this thing's getting some traction. We need to take this off.
Okay. So to summarize the first episode, which is called something, Take the Credit and Run. That is what it's called. Also, a funny thing about all these episodes, despite the fact that they exist, episode 1, 3, and 7 are online, or were. Episodes 2 through 6 and episode 8 all have directed by, to be announced, and written by, to be announced. This show already came out. Like, all these episodes were already directed and written. I don't know why.
Maybe the person who's writing and directing them was like, take my name off, dude. Take my name off.
I don't know. It doesn't even say why it got canceled. I mean,
maybe it was written. Maybe it was written by the crime syndicate.
Maybe it was. They're a fiction in this story.
All truth. All fiction comes from some truth.
That doesn't make sense. So they're cool guy, good kissers, as you'd expect. They're like,
and this is important. One of them is Bruce Greenberg,
or who that is.
Sorry, not Bruce Greenberg. Bruce Greenwood, who he's in like Star Trek and the Star Trek the movie, and he's in like a bunch of I think he's in iRobot as well. Like when I saw that, I was like, hey, what's going on, man?
Yeah, it's like Bruce Greenwood.
Yeah, it's like, so he is never like a major starring role, but I know that he's been in I recognize him from the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies.
It says that he played John F. Kennedy in 13 Days. Go figure.
Huh.
Anyway, they repo a car from a guy. It's kind of a I don't know. They repo a car from a guy, and then these two guys go chasing after him. There's a very long car chase. It is very cool. It's not a complaint. Very long car chase. Then they drop it off at Oscar's place, right? And then Oscar's like, cool. Well, they can't take the car until Monday. So just on Monday, drive the car over. Then the deal's done and we're square. All right. And they're like, okay, cool. But there's these pretty girls. And they want to take them out to the boardwalk, So they want to drive them out to the boardwalk and, do some kissing. And so they go and steal the car from their boss and go driving around. And then, like, at one point, there's it's not a saxophone. It might be a saxophone, maybe. There's an instrument in the back and it's got a key in it. And they take it out, and he's trying to like impress this girl on the beach playing a saxophone or something.
Wait. It's got a key in it?
Yeah, it's got a key inside of it.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
and now,
so
the thing that I wish that I had a screenshot of this because now I'm confused.
Imagine a loose key.
What isn't a saxophone? What is a saxophone-shaped thing that is not a saxophone?
No, I'm sorry. It's an instrument. I just don't remember if the instrument was saxophone.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that possibly that you saw it and you're just like, bloody hell, I could not tell you what this thing is. This might be a trumpet. This might be a clarinet. Hell if I know. This could be a harp.
I just don't remember. It's an instrument. I'm going to say saxophone for the sake of the show. So it's an
instrument that could house a key.
Yes, and it's got, of course, in the horn. So he picks it out of the case. A key falls out. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but turns out, actually, I don't even remember what the MacGuffin at the end is, but the guys who chase them, they do another car chase and steal the car back. So the boys are on the hook for this like $60,000 car, and they're like screwed, right? So they got to get the car back. Turns out the bad guys, they wanted the key. Now, there's a whole bunch of MacGuffin mystery, yada, yada, yada.
Is it like a skeleton key?
No, it's a key to, well, so then they have to go and find, it's a key to a safety deposit box that maybe has an address or something. It ends up where they have a case full of fake credit cards. And I didn't really understand what the deal was with the fake credit cards, but the guy who they repoed, this doesn't matter. The guy who they repoed the car from, he was getting pressure from whatever crime syndicate this was, whatever mob that the bad guys are from.
The Foot Clan.
The Foot Clan. So the putties in the Foot Clan were trying to pressure him to, I guess, distribute these fake credit cards to people, and they would use them, and it would steal their. I didn't really understand why.
This is kind of confusing because a credit card doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is how they worked in 1984. Like, you don't pay for a credit card, and if you pay for the, like, if you're, yeah, because like, how do I think it works? I mean, maybe this is one of those things that got lost to time, and maybe you had to put money into a credit card in order to use it, but at that point in time, they defeated the purpose of the credit card.
They didn't go into detail, but they were like, he wanted me to hand these out, because I think the guy was like a traveling salesman or something, and he wanted him to like pass them out all around the country while he was traveling. And the guy didn't want to do that, and so that's why they were at the house in the first place. So basically, like, the bad guys were at his house when the good guys repoed the car, because they were trying to find this key to get their credit cards back. And the key was in the saxophone, and da 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 ba ba ba. So then it gets to the end.
Oh, and that's how the saxophone sounded.
Da da ba da ba da ba. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So it gets to the end, and there's this big standoff, and who shows up? Oscar with a gun, and it's just like, get out of here. And they're like, okay, and they give them their shit back, their credit cards, I think, and then they're like, we just want the car. We don't care about this at all. Just give us the car back. And they're like, oh, we don't care about the car. You can have the car. And it's like, oh, okay. We're square. See ya, I think. I don't really remember. It was mildly confusing and boring. So I don't know how that persisted for 8 more episodes, but apparently it did not go well. So it's your normal, it's your normal. But did
they start working for Oscar at that point, or
they were already working for Oscar?
Okay,
there's no intro.
Okay, he shows up with a gun. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, he finds them in the final standoff. They're on a roof, and one of the kids is gonna fall off the roof, and then Oscar shows up with a gun, and is like, I'm gonna kill you. And they're like, this isn't worth it. You can have the car. Bye. So anyway.
And then they got to be college-age kids playing saxophones for ladies again. Everything worked out.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yeah, and then there were the girls. There's a whole thing about there's these girls, and they're kind of around. And also, I forgot a major character, which is the guy whose car it was, who's late on the payments. His daughter is at the house.
Oh.
And so she meets the boys, and there's like kind of a flirty thing with one of the boys. It's like Hardy Boys, but a TV show.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, you've just described like if they had just,
there's a blonde one,
if someone was revamping Hardy Boys, but in the 1980s.
It's a semi-gritty reboot of Hardy Boys. It's a CW reboot of Hardy Boys, but the 80s, so it's not like too gritty and weird. Not the CW shows are gritty, but they're, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen Riverdale. It's like, what are we doing here? I like Riverdale, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But I've seen Arrow. I know how it goes down.
You've seen Sabrina. We all get it. So anyway, I hope, because there's nothing on the Wikipedia.
Yeah, I did notice that.
So I watched an episode just to understand what the hell was going on in the show. It's Hardy Boys.
Yeah. So it's Hardy Boys with like, I'm assuming it'd be fun if it was in Miami, because that's like the most 80s city there could possibly be. And like, you know, Hardy Boys in Miami, that's probably how they got the pitch to begin with.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw it to you. What are you thinking vis-a-vis fixing Legman?
So one thing I think is really funny about Legman is there's two of it's like a Legman is someone that works for a private detective and you know does all that work.
The legwork.
But here's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking is if you're a Legman for a private detective, I'm thinking mostly what you're doing is probably sifting through hours and hours of footage. You know, like you're filming someone's house and just watching it back later to see if you see anything suspicious. Because
I used to work for a private investigator.
You used to work for a private investigator?
Actually, now that I've said that out loud, I should retract it.
What? We have to talk off mic about that.
Anyway.
This is the only time you could possibly be talking about this.
Yes,
this is the platform.
That does sound like what an assistant to a private investigator might do.
Okay. Yes. All right. Okay.
Sifting through lots of footage. It sounds in hypothetical terms. Like
yes, there we go. Why don't now? How about what if you pitch me some things that they could be doing, but use their names and not like say for example yours? Like what hypothetically could the boys be doing?
No,
if they were real private investigators.
No, let's say hypothetically you used to work for a video company and one of the CEOs of the company was also a private investigator, and one or two times he needed you to edit footage for a court case. Maybe that's all.
Okay.
It was
all right.
Just a couple of times he said, hey, here's some surveillance footage of a crime of this person being stabbed. Could you
okay.
I think edit makes it sound like doctoring, but it was more like the footage looks like shit and no one can see what's going on. And you like up the contrast and just make it more visible, and also maybe put some like markers on the individual so we can see what's happening. Like this guy that's walking here, that is the same guy. And so I would put little like markers.
They would put markers.
No, I would on the footage in post production.
I'm saying the Hardy Boys.
Legman would do this, not me.
The Legman would do this, not you.
Not me. I would never do this. But hypothetically, if you had some grainy surveillance footage of a crime and you needed someone to make it more visible for court, an assistant might hypothetically watch through that footage and make it more readable.
Oh. Okay, well that is
a thing I did once. I mean, not me.
Yeah, no, obviously not you. This is us pitching an episode. This is us pitching probably episodes 2 through 6 or whatever. The ones that we didn't see. It's probably mostly that.
Speaking of which, hypothetically, you work for a video company, and what they do is they make an entire course on how to be a private investigator, and you spend hours and hours and hours with private investigators as they explain all the techniques of being a private investigator.
You would hypothetically spend hours and hours with private investigators?
Hypothetically. Not on cases, but just sort of...
Just hanging out.
Well, like recreating cases and like saying like, oh, this is what it would be like to trail someone. Here's how you would covertly surveil people. Here's how you would, figure out, I don't know, what you need to figure out as a private investigator. Hypothetically, not me.
Well, yeah,
not me. I wouldn't do this thing.
No. Hypothetically, are the private investigators do they act like how you would think that a private investigator would act?
100%. They 100% act exactly like you.
Yeah, and with the gold chains and the.
Oh no, sorry. They're operators. Well, some of them.
I was thinking like styles. Gold chains, gold rings, and says things mankind's going to shit, kid. I'm just collecting the checks.
That's not a kind of person. That's no one. You've gotten some weird like Italian mob boss with Rorschach mix. No, I'm like, okay, so not me, but people. You know, there are some who were more in the style of like, I don't know, like, there were operators for sure. There were people who were like very tactical police talk, they would never say car, they would say vehicle. They'd talk about the individual. They would talk about, apprehending. They would talk about pursuit, stuff like that, where they would use cop words. They weren't cops. They were just, I think the guy used to, it was, well, never mind. And then, I worked with other people who seemed, because a lot of it is child custody stuff or insurance fraud. So if someone was had a disability claim and then the insurance company hired a private investigator to kind of watch their house and see if they're doing yard work or these guys would tell stories about how, some guy would be on disability and then they'd go get footage of him building a shed. And it's well, obviously you don't have a back injury because you just lifted, a bunch of 2x4s over your shoulder over your head onto your shoulder and carried them and then built a shed. You obviously don't have back injuries. And so then they would file that. Anyway, I didn't do any of that work, but I worked with people who did that work. And then not me, but someone worked with those people.
Yes.
And then, I cut together a course on sort of techniques for private investigating. A lot of it was about trailing people and covert, I don't know, reconnaissance. I don't know what you would call it. Mm-hmm. I'm not an operator. I don't know what the terms are.
Yeah.
I didn't do any of that shit, but hypothetically, that's what
someone that would. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so what's your idea for this television show?
What?
What's your idea for this television show?
So, I mean, obviously, I think, so this is one for us. I mean, we have to kind of double dip a little bit in order to make this work for our bottom line. And so,
our secret purposes.
We can't have our legmen in. They clearly are not existing in the same world as the Master or Mr. Smith or Jennifer slept here. We have to kind of what's something
in a television show.
Yeah, but see, they're in order for us to make this work, where all of these fantastical words come together, they kind of have you can totally see how the Master and Mr. Smith and Jennifer slept here, how they can all kind of feasibly live in the same place because all of them are so larger than life. This one is not at all. So in order for us to,
I'm gonna hear you out.
In order for us to, to help our bottom line in the end, we have to have, they can't just be regular private investigators or also college kids. We have to spice it up a little bit more. We have to kind of I
was thinking the same thing.
What is our and also making up characters that we can also bring over into the secret comic book. And and having that be a part of our world as well, because right now these are just two dud kids that are trying to steal cars to impress girls. This can't compete with an international crime syndicate of people learning jujitsu. Also, we didn't talk about that Nicolas Cage movie. We'll get back to that another time.
Holy shit, jujitsu looks so rad.
We have to what is the thing that's going to spice it up? What are the who are these kids really?
Now, don't write Supernatural.
No.
Because I know you want to write Supernatural.
I'm not going to write Supernatural.
I have no proof that anyone's ever written Supernatural because I don't know that show actually exists. But
apart from Tumblr posts.
Yes, you shouldn't write Supernatural.
But I mean, it would be pretty easy,
Yeah, it would be very easy to turn Supernatural. Do not do that.
Supernatural, but just dated it a couple of years earlier, so that way they get all those sweet Tumblr posts.
Yes. Anyway, how do you spice this up?
Did
you have a plan, or were you just suggesting?
No, I'm trying to get the ball rolling. Trying to get
magic. Give them magical powers.
Okay, I didn't know we were going to go that route because that is Supernatural, is it not?
No, because that's angels and demons. I'm saying, give me some Hogwarts ass magic.
Okay.
Because we haven't done a real genre shift.
Okay. Yes.
I'm saying, give me some Harry Potter shit where they're private investigators, but then they find out there's a whole other world out there.
Exactly. And and there are as far as we know in the Harry Potter world, they need private investigators too. There's people doing insurance frauds things there. There's people, there's people doing magic where they shouldn't be doing magic. Lost their
magic, but then they make a shed out of magic.
Yeah, exactly. There's stuff like that. There's people doing magic in the Muggle world. You got to have some private investigators there. I'm not saying we use the character names from that show, but clearly there's precedent. I mean, they've moved from one boss to another boss. They can move to a third boss whose name is, Schmumbleshmore, something like that.
Schmumbleshmore, yeah. Okay, or a kind of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, literally the Foot Clan. I think there can be some kind of mad scientist. I don't know. or like a Street Sharks kind of thing. Like maybe they get powers.
Back to some classic Get Better.
Yeah, fuck yeah, Street Sharks. Maybe they get powers. I just think, how do we spice it up? Magic or powers? We can't do supernatural because that's just right there. So it can't be angels and demons. But yeah, like something, I don't know. I don't know. Is that anything? I feel like this is my bad idea that I start with. I just usually start at the 30-minute mark and not the 53-minute mark.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we were talking about what real private investigators do for so long that
hypothetically,
what they might do. So I mean, let's see. Because you want to bring him into the world. I feel like this could be the way that we get Jennifer Slept here into the world a bit more. And I feel like magic is good. I love the idea of them getting Street Sharks type powers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles powers.
Funny.
Or but you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose the face. And you have Bruce Greenwood on the project, so you can't.
Okay, now wait a minute. I'm a little confused why we don't. All right, so the Master we've established has, they are navigating a fairly complex politics of the underworld. I don't understand why the Legmen cannot also be navigating this. Where I feel like those two shows are much more like closely intertwined than our other properties.
Really?
Right? Because they both are dealing with a monster of the week, but that monster is a crime syndicate. So like maybe it's more of a True Detective, right?
Now that's good.
They are trying to stop the big bad from season 1, and their Carcosa or whatever is our big crossover event. Now, again, not Secret Comic Book, but yes, Secret Comic Book, right? So So
and obviously we can't do we can't do parallel or not parallel. We can't do shared universes.
Right. No. So in the TV show, it's just we do a kind of True Detective, right? This is a very I wouldn't say serious. It is a serious show, but like. Philosophical.
It is primed up because that was kind of the thing that we did with Mr. Smith, where we made it into like a real gritty, like
we made a House of Cards.
Exactly, and I think this
is another prestige television show.
Yes,
because Jennifer Slept Here was a fun comedy, right? It was like a ghost.
That's true. Yeah,
and the Master that was like exactly the same.
Yeah. Exactly. We didn't change one bit of that show. Yeah, we just gave that show more money.
Yeah, we just said do this again, but now.
Yes.
So I think we have another prestige television show we can throw in here. Make it a True Detective where one of them is an alcoholic, one of them's a bad dad or something. I guess they can't be dads because they're
still in college,
young cool teens. But give them some. This is kind of a gritty reboot. I understand that's what I'm doing. And that might be a new rule.
It would be like True Detective Junior almost because they're still it's like, oh man, my dad wants me to get this football scholarship or something like that.
Let's go back to the CW. I feel like this is a CW show.
Well, let's not sell this to another network.
I know it's NBC, but a CW style show. It's a CW reboot of Legmen, where it's like real moody and the lighting's all wild and it's just very dramatic, and there's murder. But it's Legmen, like a Hardy Boys.
Like a Hardy Boys.
Like a Hardy Boys. We had it from the fucking start. CW Hardy Boys. Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah, CW Hardy Boys with True Detective tendencies.
True. Okay, just so we're clear, CW Hardy Boys and the Venn diagram between CW Hardy Boys and True Detective Junior is a circle. You were describing the same television show.
It's funny, obviously, because NBC, they have this property, right? CW is they're gonna do at some point. They're gonna do a Hardy Boys, gritty Hardy Boys.
Obvious. They're gonna do CW Hardy Boys.
Just beat him to
the punch. Yeah,
beat him to it.
Redo Legmen as CW Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Except instead of the boring shit like insurance claims and cheating spouses,
allegedly.
I didn't do any of it. I never worked for anybody. But But hypothetically, instead of doing that stuff, which is not as interesting for television, just do the car chases and the tailing people and all the shit from The Wire. Do that.
Yeah. All the
stuff,
Hardy Boys. All the cool shit that you want your private detectives to do.
All the cool shit that isn't the day-to-day of a private detective. It's mostly sitting in your car and peeing into a bottle and watching a house. It comes up a lot. The thing people talk about a lot of how you just need a lot of snacks in your car. And you're going to have to pee in a bottle.
Huh.
Hypothetically. Not me. See, now I feel like I'm saying not me and people are going to think that I was doing those things. Actually not me.
Huh.
That one actually wasn't me. But I did hypothetically work with people who did those things because that's just the gig.
Well, NBC, I think that might be the way to do it. That clearly is, like, you know, because obviously it's the network versus network versus network. Just beat them to it. You already have the content. You already have the IP. Just reboot this one, but make it CW Hardy Boys, and then so that way, you know, whenever their CW Hardy Boys comes out, it's going to look like a pale comparison or pale imitation of NBC's The Leg
smash
Man.
Hit Leg Man.
Yeah.
And then, like, on the side, maybe you and me, we talk about how season 1 or whatever is that how comic books work?
I don't think so. Probably like book
know.
1. It'd be like, you know,
trade paperback 1 is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we sell them, and then we like do that, and then we sell them as a bundle.
Can I tell you, I finished Watchmen, and I don't understand why people didn't like the movie. It seemed exactly the same. I know that's probably controversial, but like I don't understand why people didn't like the movie. It was like almost exactly like the comic book. What did I miss? Do you know?
I do, but yes, but we will get to that next week.
Next week we talk about the boys talk about Watchmen
again.
Okay, should have probably opened with that, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, anyway, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for coming to Get Better. You can find us on Get Better Podcast on Instagram. That's at Get Better Podcast. You can also reach us at meetthefockers2, fockedup@gmail.com. And that's all we have.
Our YouTube page.
Right, yes.
So if you want to just share really easily our episodes on YouTube, you can do that. They're all at Get Better Podcast on YouTube. And we'll just be putting those up. We're probably going to do some animatics and some short clips. I think the first clip series is going to be me cutting out all of the Secret Man book clubs and making a playlist of those. So if you just want to send people Frank Ducks, or you just want to re-listen to the Frank Ducks,
you just want to see what this is about. Like it's basically an audiobook.
Yeah, exactly. If you want a weird commentary track audiobook of The Secret Man, that playlist will be coming up soon. And we might do a Script Doctor one as well. So I think probably that's the next thing is some segment playlists. But we'll see, you know. So anyway, go to YouTube, Get Better. Also, leave us a review on iTunes is a thing people say on podcasts. I think I'm coming around. My original attitude was like, fuck you, do whatever you want. But, you know, I don't know.
People we like are saying that, so.
I'm coming around to the audience. I feel less adversarial to them as I did in the beginning. So, you know, hey, leave us a review on iTunes. Appreciate it. All right. See you bye forever.
See you bye forever.